The man who helped build the digital world. Most people know Bill Gates as a billionaire. But that description barely captures the scale of his influence. Because Bill Gates did not simply build a company. He helped build the operating system of modern civilization itself. And for decades, his software quietly powered businesses, governments, schools, corporations, financial systems, personal computers across the entire world. This made Gates one of the most important figures of the digital age. But the story becomes far more complex than most people realize. Because the rise of Bill Gates was not just about intelligence, or coding, or entrepreneurship. It was about timing, power, aggression, monopoly strategy, and understanding something profoundly important before almost everyone else. Software would eventually control the world. Before Microsoft, computers were for specialists. In the early days, computers were intimidating, expensive, technical, mostly used by governments, researchers, corporations. Ordinary people barely interacted with them. But Gates saw something others underestimated. Computers would eventually become personal, and whoever controlled personal computing software could control the future digital economy. This insight changed history, because hardware eventually becomes replaceable. But operating systems create dependency, and dependency creates power. Bill Gates was obsessed with software early. From a young age, Gates became obsessed with computers. Not casually interested, obsessed. He reportedly spent countless hours programming during an era when very few people even understood coding. This mattered enormously, because technological revolutions often reward early obsession, deep specialization, timing, and Gates entered software before software became civilization-scale infrastructure. That gave him extraordinary leverage later. Microsoft did not win by building the best product. One of the most important truths about Microsoft is that dominance was not purely about superior technology. It was about strategic positioning. Because Gates understood distribution better than most competitors. And distribution often beats innovation. This became critical during the rise of the personal computer industry, especially when IBM entered the market. The IBM deal changed everything. One decision transformed Microsoft permanently. IBM needed an operating system for its personal computers, and Microsoft positioned itself aggressively to supply it. This deal became one of the most important business moments in modern history, because Microsoft retained licensing rights, which meant as personal computers exploded globally, Microsoft scaled with them exponentially. This is how true technological empires emerge, not merely through products, but through infrastructure positioning. And Microsoft became infrastructure. Windows quietly took over the world. Then came Microsoft Windows. And eventually, Windows became nearly unavoidable. Homes, offices, schools, governments, entire economies depended on Microsoft systems. This created extraordinary power, because once software becomes deeply integrated into civilization, switching costs become enormous. This is why operating systems are so valuable psychologically and economically. They create ecosystems, and ecosystems create dependency. Gates understood monopoly. Psychology. One of Gates's greatest strengths was strategic aggression. Microsoft became notorious for competitive dominance, market pressure, ecosystem control, software bundling. Critics argued Microsoft crushed competitors aggressively, and governments eventually investigated the company over antitrust concerns. But this revealed something deeper about modern capitalism. Technology markets naturally concentrate power, because once platforms dominate, they become harder to challenge. This creates winner-take-all systems, and Microsoft became one of the clearest examples of this phenomenon. Software became more powerful than industrial infrastructure. Industrial society depended on factories, oil, railroads, manufacturing. The digital era shifted power toward software, operating systems, data, computation, digital infrastructure. Bill Gates helped accelerate this transformation because software scales globally, infinitely faster than physical systems, and scalable systems create enormous wealth concentration. This is why Microsoft became one of the most valuable companies on Earth. The internet changed everything again. Then the internet arrived. And suddenly, Microsoft faced something dangerous. A technological shift larger than desktop computing itself. This created one of the biggest strategic challenges of Gates's career. Because technology empires must continuously adapt, or risk collapse. The rise of browsers, search engines, mobile computing threatened Microsoft's dominance. And this revealed a terrifying truth about technology. No empire stays safe forever, not even Microsoft. Bill Gates became the symbol of modern billionaire power. As Microsoft expanded, Gates became globally recognizable. Not merely wealthy, but symbolic. For years, he represented technological genius, capitalist success, extreme wealth, corporate dominance, and the media amplified this constantly. Because modern society became fascinated with billionaire mythology, especially technology billionaires. This changed celebrity culture itself. Business leaders became cultural icons. The richest man in the world. For years, Bill Gates remained the richest person on Earth. This gave him something beyond money: global influence. Because extreme wealth changes access, influence, networks, political reach. And eventually, Gates became powerful not merely economically, but institutionally. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation changed his image completely. One of the most fascinating transformations in modern billionaire history was Gates shifting from aggressive tech titan to global philanthropist. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Gates invested heavily into healthcare, vaccines, education, poverty reduction, disease prevention. This dramatically changed public perception. Because Gates evolved from corporate monopolist into humanitarian figure. And few billionaires transformed their public image this successfully. Philanthropy also creates influence, but philanthropy creates another form of power too. Influence over global health, education systems, policy discussions, research funding. This created controversy. Because some critics questioned whether billionaires should possess such large influence over public systems globally. This reveals a larger modern tension. As billionaires accumulate enormous wealth, they increasingly shape society privately, sometimes more effectively than governments themselves. Gates represents a new kind of power. Previous industrialists controlled oil, steel, factories. Gates helped create software capitalism. And software capitalism changed civilization fundamentally. Because software quietly powers communication, business, finance, education, infrastructure. Invisible systems increasingly shape modern life. And whoever controls those systems accumulates extraordinary leverage. The digital age created techno-kings. The internet transformed how power operates. Now individuals can influence economies, global communication, information systems, technological infrastructure at unprecedented scale. This created a new type of elite, tech sovereigns. And Gates became one of the first truly global technology rulers of the modern era. The real product was never Windows. The real product was dependency. Once billions relied on Microsoft systems daily, the company became embedded into civilization itself. This is why infrastructure businesses become so powerful. People stop viewing them as optional. they become necessary, and necessity creates leverage. AI may repeat the same pattern. Artificial intelligence may create similar dynamics again, because whoever controls AI infrastructure, operating systems, digital ecosystems may dominate enormous portions of the future economy. This is why companies aggressively compete over AI today, because Gates helped prove something decades earlier. Software eventually shapes civilization itself. The insane truth about Bill Gates. The terrifying truth is, Bill Gates was never simply a programmer, or even simply a billionaire. He became one of the architects of the modern digital world, because Microsoft helped normalize something humanity had never experienced before: a civilization operating through software infrastructure. And perhaps this is the insane truth about Bill Gates. He did not merely build a company. He helped create the digital operating system underlying modern civilization itself. And once civilization becomes digital, the people controlling software quietly control far more than most people realize. Subscribe to Wealth OS for more documentaries on wealth, power, AI, and the hidden psychology behind modern society.